Hi everyone, this is Maria, and today I want to share with you one of my very favorite books. It's titled Spoon River Anthology. It was written by Edgar Lee Masters and published in 1915. And even after 100 years, it still remains popular today. It basically takes place in a small fictitious town in a small graveyard on a hill, and the former residents of Spoon River tell it all in this book. They tell of their lives, they're being totally honest, and you can't help but feel like you know these people after reading these epitaphs. And there's quite a few in here. And so, but once you start reading this, you just can't stop. When I first learned about Spoon River 12 years ago, I went to my local library, the Feldheim Library in San Bernardino, California, and I found a copy and checked it out. And then I checked it out again. I don't remember if I checked it out a third time. I may have. And so, but I finally just went and bought my own copy, and I have it right here. And I love it. I should also say that Spoon River Anthology is the inspiration for my current work in progress, my book that I'm working on, The Titanic Monologues. And so anyways, I'm really excited to share this with you because last week I got an email from the librarian at Feldheim Library, Linda. Hi, Linda. And so I'm so grateful for that too, because it was announcing that someone very special was coming to San Bernardino, all the way to our town in the Inland Empire. It was Lee Merriweather, actress Lee Merriweather, and she was doing her one-woman show on Spoon River. And so I just had to go. Of course, I tossed this book in my purse, hoping that she would sign it. And she did. Let me show you the inside. I told her it was my inspiration for Titanic Monologues, and she signed, "To Maria, onto the Titanic, best always sincerely, Lee Merriweather." So this is very special to me. It was before, even more so now. So let me go ahead and show you a picture of Lee Merriweather, and she went ahead and signed this for me. They had these there. And so she wrote, "For Maria, meow, sincerely, Lee Merriweather." Can you see the little kitty there? She was Catwoman on the original Batman movie back in the 60s. So the auditorium, there was a lot of people there, and while she was performing, you could just hear a pin drop if someone dropped a pin. And so I was afraid to turn off my camera. First of all, I got there right before it started. I was running in there and got a front row seat, thank goodness. And so I was able to capture her on video. So I'm going to share that with you in a minute. And so, but anyways, I didn't catch the very beginning because she sang this little song about the cemetery at Spoon River. And I was like, oh no, I missed that. So at the end, I was afraid to turn off my camera, and I had a feeling she was going to conclude maybe in the same way, in the same manner, and she did, but my camera stopped videotaping. And that's because I was afraid to turn it off because, like I said, it was so quiet in there because the performance, Lee Merriweather's performance was so magical, you guys. It was, I mean, as soon as she went into character, I just felt like, I'm sorry, I was spitting. I just felt this emotion just rise in me because of these people, because you know, after you read Spoon River, you feel like you know these people. And so anyways, yeah, so I missed the ending. So I'm hoping to see her again at another local library, and maybe I can capture it then. And because I definitely would go as soon as I find out where she's going to be next, because she did say she would be at another library. And so, you know, if you would like her to come to your library, I would really suggest that you contact her through her website. And I'll go ahead and link her website down below in the discussion box. So since I didn't capture the introduction of Lee Merriweather's show, I thought I'd just read a little bit so you get a better idea. The opening epitaph is titled "The Hill." And since Lee Merriweather's program is about the women of Spoon River, I'm going to start about midway down and read just a few lines. Here we go. "Where are Ella, Kate, Meg, Lizzie, and Edith? The tender heart, the simple soul, the loud, the proud, the happy one, all are sleeping on the hill. One died in shameful childbirth, one of a thwarted love, one at the hands of a brute in a brothel, one of a broken pride in the search for heart's desire, one after life in faraway London and Paris was brought to her little space by Ella and Kate and Mag. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill." So now I present to you Lee Merriweather in The Women of Spoon River, Their Voices from the Hill.
What is this I hear? Sorrow, weariness, discontent, and drooping hopes. Degenerate sons and daughters. Life is too strong to love life. Hmm? I could have been as great as George Eliot, but for an untoward fate, look at the photograph of me taken by Pennywit. Chin resting on hand, deep-set eyes, brave too and far-searching. What was the old problem? Should it be celibacy, matrimony, or unchastity? Then John Slack, the witch druggist, wooed me, luring me with the promise of leisure to write my novel. So I married him, giving birth to 8 children, and had no time to write. Oh well, it was all over for me anyway when I ran a needle in my hand while washing the baby's things and died from lockjaw. An ironical death. Hear me, ambitious souls. Sex is the curse of life. Oh. I was sick. But more than that, I was mad. Mad at the crooked police and the crooked game of life. So, I wrote to the chief of police in Peoria. I'm here, in my girlhood home of Spoon River, gradually wasting away, but come and take me. I killed the son of the merchant prince at Meriwether. And the papers, the newspapers, that said he shot himself while cleaning a hunting gun. I like the devil. The hush of the scandal brought right with advertising. I killed him in my room at Madame Roux's because he knocked me down. When I told him that in spite of all the money he had, I would see my lover that night. I wrote him a letter asking him for old time's sake to discharge my sick boy from the army. But maybe he couldn't read it. So I went into town and I had James Garber, who wrote beautifully, write him a letter. But maybe that got lost in the mails. So I traveled all the way to Washington. It was more than an hour finding the White House, and when I did, they turned me away, hiding their smiles. And then I thought, oh well, he ain't the same as when we boarded him, and he and my husband worked together. We all called him Abe back there in Menard. But as a last attempt, I went up to a guard and I said, please, tell him it's old Montana Armstrong from Illinois. Come to see him about a sick boy in the army. But just a moment. They let me in. And when he saw me, he dropped his business as president and wrote in his own hand Doug's discharge. Talking all the while about the early days and telling, stories. I was born in Henderson, Kentucky. Out of me, unworthy and unknown, magnificent music, beneficent face of a nation, shining with justice and truth. I am Anne Rutledge, who sleep beneath these weeds, beloved in life of Abraham Lincoln, wedded to him, not through union, but through separation. Bloom forever, O Republic, from the dust of my bosom. Mr. Perkapile ran away and was gone a year. And when he came home, he told me a silly story about being kidnapped by pirates on Lake Michigan. And kept in chains so he could not write me. Now I pretended to believe him. I know very well what he was doing. He was seeing the milliner, Mrs. Williams, every time that she went out to town to buy goods, as she said. But a promise is a promise, and marriage is marriage. And out of respect for my own character, I refuse to be drawn into a scheme, a divorce, by a husband who just gave up on everything. Gave up on everything. That was it. He just refused. That's it. Well, don't you see this was the way of it? We bought the farm with what he inherited, but his brothers and sisters accused him of poisoning his father's mind against the rest of them, and we never had any peace with our treasure. The crops failed, new rain took the cattle, lightning struck the granary. And he grew silent and was worried all the time. And I had no place to turn, as one might say at an earlier time in life, oh well, no matter, so-and-so's my friend. Or I could just push this off with a little trip to Decatur. And then the dreadful smells infested the rooms. So I set fire to the beds. And the old witch house went up in a roar of flames. And I danced in the yard, waving my arms. Well, he wept like a freezing steer. Have you seen walking in the village a man with downcast eyes and haggard face? That is my husband, who by secret cruelty, never to be told, robbed me of my youth and beauty, till at last, wrinkled and with yellow teeth and broken pride and shameful humility, I sank into the grave. But what think you gnaws at my husband's heart, huh? The face of what I was, and the face of what he made me. These are driving him to the place where I lie. In death, therefore, I am avenged. Our son, Reuben, was no better. Oh, and poor Dora.
When Reuben Pantier ran away and threw me, I went to Springfield. There, I met a lush whose father just deceased and left him a fortune. My life was wretched. One day, they found him dead. That made me rich. I moved on to Chicago. After a time, met Tyler Roundtree, villain. I moved on to New York, where a gray-haired magnate went mad over me. And so, another fortune. Oh, he died one night right in my arms, you know. Oh, I saw his purple face for years thereafter. There was almost a scandal, so I moved on. This time to Paris. I was now a woman, insidious, subtle, bursting a world and rich. My sweet little apartment on the Champs-Élysées was a meeting place for poets, artists, dandies, nobles, where we spoke French, German, Italian, English. I wed Count Navigato, native of Genoa. We went to Rome. I think he poisoned me. Where I was first buried, in the Camposanto overlooking the sea where young Columbus dreamed new worlds, they chiseled Contessa Navigato. And underneath, Implora Eterna Quiete.
I was the milliner, Mrs. Williams, mother of Dora, whose strange disappearance was charged to her rearing. My eye, quick to beauty, saw much besides ribbons and buckles and feathers and felts to set off sweet faces and dark hair and gold. One thing I will tell you, and one I will ask. The stealers of husbands wear trinkets and fashionable hats. Wives, wear them yourselves. Hats may cause divorces. They can also prevent them. Now, let me ask you, if all of the children born here in Spoon River had been raised on a farm someplace by the county, and the mothers and fathers have been given their freedom to live and enjoy, change mates if they wished, do you think Spoon River would have been any the worse? Silent before the jury. Silent. Answering no word to the judge when he asked if I had aught to say against the sentence. Well, what would I say? To people, when a woman of 35 had a lover of 19 who killed her husband. I remained silent. 30 years in prison, I was silent. If though I told that boy, I said, Elmer, I have maddened your brain with the gift of my body. But you someday will do some terrible thing with which I had nothing to do with. But I remained silent. Silent. 30 years. And the iron gray gates of Joliet swung wide. And the silent gray trustees carried me out in a coffin. In a coffin? I wanted an urn. Oh. Oh. I am Minerva, the village poetess, hooted at, jeered at by the yahoos of the street for my cockeye, heavy body and rolling walk. And all the more after Butch Weldy captured me after a brutal hunt and left me to my fate at Dr. Myers, where I sank into death, growing numb from the feet up, like one stepping deeper and deeper into a stream of ice. Oh, will someone please go to the village newspaper and gather into a book the verses that I wrote? I thirsted so for life. I hungered so for love.